Welcome to the Wall of Soundtrack, a show where we discuss the music and soundtracks behind the very best TV shows and motion pictures. In this episode, we'll be analyzing and dissecting the music and soundtrack behind Michael Mann's boxing biopic, Ali. Hey guys, just a heads up, I released a new episode for my other show called the Brewtune Podcast, where I pair the Trogs Crimson Pistol Hibiscus IPA with the blues and southern rock band Alabama Shakes. So if you're a fan of the Trogs line of craft beers and the Alabama Shakes music, be sure to check this episode out. Ali is a boxing biopic that was released in 2001 and covers the life and career of one of the greatest boxers and heavyweight champions, Muhammad Ali. Chronologically, the film covers Muhammad Ali's career and life from the years 1964 to 1974. The film was written, directed, and produced by Michael Mann, who's also well known as the executive producer and driving creative forces behind the successful 80s crime drama television series, Miami Vice. Mann's film resume also includes some of the following: Manhunter, Thief, Last of the Mohicans, Heat, Collateral, Public Enemies, and the Academy Award-nominated film, The Insider. Ali included a number of talented actors, actresses, and professional boxers, such as actor Will Smith, who played Muhammad Ali, Jamie Foxx, who played cornerman Drew Boudini Brown, John Voight, who played ABC sportscaster Howard Cosell, Mario Van Peebles, who played human rights activist Malcolm X, Ron Silver as cornerman and trainer Angelo Dundee, Jeffrey Wright as Muhammad Ali's photographer Howard Bingham, Michael T. Williamson as boxing promoter Don King, boxer James Toney as heavyweight champion Joe Frazier, Jada Pinkett Smith as Sonji Roy, Nona Gay as Muhammad Ali's wife Khalila Ali, and then Barry Chewbacca Henley as Herbert Muhammad. The two actors, Will Smith and John Voight, would also go on to get Oscar nominations for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor for their impressive performances and portrayals of Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell. My returning guest for this discussion is Cy Shackelford, and surprisingly, I've managed not to scare him away yet. We had a blast recording this episode. Cy is a columnist for the entertainment, commentary, and review website Action A Go-Go. You can follow Cy's articles on the website www.actionagogo.com, and you can also follow him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @Shack_House83. Here's my discussion with Cy on the music and soundtrack behind Michael Mann's boxing biopic, Ali. Cy, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Andrew.
So, what's new with Action A Go-Go lately?
Nothing's changed since the last time we had the podcast. We're actually no, one thing has changed. We're in San Diego Comic-Con right now. Troy Jeffrey Allen, he's out there right now giving us updates and making us feel jealous because we're not with him for this for this extravaganza. But one day I will get there. That's the Mecca. That's like the Mecca for comic book fans and pop culture fans now.
Yeah, I went to San Diego once and stopped in at Comic-Con, man. It was crazy.
Lucky.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance, I hope you get to go. But I was looking at Action A Go-Go's website, and I saw your post. I think it was about a year ago, and it was the Slugfest with Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler.
Marvin Hagler, yeah.
Hagler, yeah.
Yeah, I had that. My dad, he taped that on VHS when I was a kid, and I watched it nonstop back and forth when I was a kid. And I didn't really grasp the significance of the fight, especially the first round, until I was older and able to read up on more boxing events and more boxing matches that happened back in the day. Yeah, and since the very intent of the sport of boxing is assault, that's an action, and it counts as Action A Go-Go approved.
Yeah, I mean, it was a total slugfest. I mean,
first round, dude.
Yeah, first round, you just hear what's his name, Larry Merchant from HBO. He was like, that was one of the greatest first rounds he's ever seen in his career of announcing.
Dude, that first round was like something I'd see in a Rocky film, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, they called that fight the War, and it lived up to its name, especially in that first round. I mean, Hearns with his long reach, he made Hagler bleed. Hagler caught Hearns with a few, and Hearns, he was fighting so hard that he actually broke his right hand on Hagler's skull.
Jeez. Yeah, man. Crazy. It almost kind of reminds me of that one fight with Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti.
I saw that fight, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was like that was another slugfest where they just kind of beat it out to the end, and then they had another rematch. I think Ward won the first. Well, I think Ward actually won both of them, right?
I think so, yeah. One of them was depicted in The Fighter, I believe.
Yeah, and that was with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I heard that's a really great film.
That was really good.
I also saw your trailer post for Creed 2.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I did do that. I found it the day it came out. I saw the poster a few days prior to the trailer coming out, and I'm like, okay, they're really doing it, but are they really going to have him fighting Ivan Drago's son, I wonder. With the trailer, I got my answer, because he does.
Yeah, and I guess Dolph Lundgren is going to be in that film. So it's his son, right?
Yeah, it's Ivan Drago's son, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then I thought I actually didn't finish the first. I didn't actually see the first Creed, but apparently Sylvester Stallone is like sick. He has some sort of.
He's got cancer. Rocky has cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the first Creed, he was eager. Well, he was just willing to die because he saw what it did to his wife, Adrian. All the chemotherapy she went through, and it didn't do nothing for her. She died anyway.
Jeez.
He just wanted to hell with it. Let me just go, but. Adonis Creed wouldn't let that happen.
Do you think this film is going to be better than the first Creed?
I don't know, because of the premise of it. It's like Adonis it seems like he wants to avenge his father's death by fighting the son of his father's killer in the ring. But it's like, what are you going to do that Rocky Balboa didn't already do 30-something years ago in Rocky IV? I mean, he already humiliated the dude's father in his own country, no less, and forced him into retirement, so far as we know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then I guess Stallone is directing this as well, or?
No, he's not directing it. Ryan Coogler, he's not directing it either.
Okay.
It's a friend of theirs, friend of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, somebody they picked out.
When is this going to come out, though?
May come out in November, I think.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Michael B. Jordan looks like he's in killer shape for that movie. I mean.
If you saw him in Black Panther, he was in mad killer shape for that one, too.
Yeah,
and he even gave his workout regimen for what he did to get in shape for Black Panther in the Men's Health magazine.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of the topic we're going to discuss today, Will Smith. I mean, he was getting in killer shape, or he was in killer shape for this film, Ali, which is the soundtrack we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I think he put on like 40 pounds of muscle for that.
Yeah, I mean, this soundtrack, and let's jump into it.
All right.
It's great, man. It's a great mix of R&B, soul, and then a little bit of rock thrown in there with the all across. What's it? That Bob Dylan cover, All Along the Watchtower. Yeah. Just a lot of great variety of music. And so when this movie is directed by Michael Mann, he's a great resume. I mean, Miami Vice,
Thief, Heat. Manhunter.
Yeah.
He's a creator of the Miami Vice TV show franchise.
Which also had a lot of great music in it as well.
That was the first of its kind to actually incorporate music within the cinema. It deviated from police procedurals at the time because of its use of music. And the first episode where they used that Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight, that's considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, scene in TV show history.
Yeah, that montage where they're in the Ferrari Daytona and they're driving down,
getting ready.
Yeah, getting ready to take down the criminals. So when this movie opens up, the title and credit sequence, we hear the opening of a Sam Cooke song called "Bring It Home." This is the live version, which is done by David Elliott, and this is like an incredible montage. Like I love it. It's like a mixture of Ali in the gym hitting the speed bag, And then you see shots of David Elliott performing in the club.
And Ali's childhood, when he gets on the bus and sees the brother holding the paper of Emmett Till's face.
Yeah.
And then flashing it in his face like that. And that later affects Ali in adulthood, as we later see in the film when he speaks about it.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that initially. The actor who was in The Wire played Randy Wagstaff.
Maestro Harrell, yeah. When he was a kid when Ali came out, he played the younger Muhammad Ali. And this was his first role in a movie, actually.
Yeah, and then I think he's actually a DJ now. Or
DJ, musician. I've seen a video of him where he shows his how he produces a song, and how he knows his way around the boards and around the studio pretty well. And what's really cool about this montage too is they introduce Drew Brown or Boudini, and he's like the original Flavor Flav, basically.
Yeah,
yeah. He comes through with some rhymes, some very outlandish things I wouldn't expect to hear a black man say at the time. It's like, I'm Jewish. It's like, you're Jewish? How are you? How Jewish? I call the Lord Shorty because he's circumcised. Like me, that's how he like him. Yeah. And part of that, I can't help but to think of Jamie Foxx ad-libbed a lot of that.
Yeah, and I mean, he's great at improvisation. You know, him having that comedy background from being in Living Color and being a musician himself.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard that I was watching the behind the scenes for Ali, and they mentioned that house is actually Muhammad Ali's real house, was his real house at the time.
His childhood growing up, or his actual house?
I think it was his actual house when, his actual house at that time.
One of his homes, probably.
One of his homes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool how Michael Mann kind of brings that authenticity into the film.
Yeah, and Ali gave a lot of input for it too.
Yeah, yeah. And this song, Bring It On Home, I feel like it just works perfectly with that montage, because it's about persistence and it's about love and passion. We see Ali's passion when he's on the speed bag, and you see that close up where it's a close up of his eyes while he's hitting the speed bag.
He's not taking his eyes off it. Yeah, he's hungry.
Yeah, the focus and the passion he has in the sport of boxing,
and even his training, where he's running, taking a jog at night, and the white police are behind him. He's not letting that stop him.
Yeah, not at all. But yeah, I think this is a really intense opening scene and great cinematography by Emmanuel Lubezki. I'd say in this film you're going to see a lot of great cinematography. I mean, from what I read, Michael Mann actually put cameras on the boxers' heads, like these digital cameras, so you get some really intense close-up, like punching scenes in the ring, and just makes it feel all more real. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it immerses the audience in it, because when I saw it in the theater back on Christmas Day when it came out, Christmas Day of 2001 when it came out. Yeah, I noticed that they wanted to give the audience like an interactive feel into it.
Yeah,
make them feel like they're part of the film.
So the next song is actually not on the official soundtrack for Ali. It's a song by Moby called "Memory Gospel," and you hear it in the Sonny Liston fight, the first Sonny Liston fight.
Yeah,
it's kind of faded in when
it becomes clear that Ali has the upper hand and he's going to win that fight.
Yeah, he's starting to land some punches, and the crowd is starting to kind of see how Muhammad Ali kind of changed the tempo of the fight.
He was Cassius Clay back then, though.
Cassius Clay, yeah, exactly. But Michael Mann has used Moby in a lot of his films. He used him in Heat. I think Moby did a cover of a Joy Division song, and that song you see it in Heat when Vincent. This is in Heat. I was talking about Moby.
I know, but what scene is that in Heat, though? I mean,
it's the scene where Vincent Hanna tracks down De Niro's character, Neil McCauley, on the highway, pulls him over.
Oh, what do you say we buy? So get me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, it's that scene where he pulls him over on the highway. It's Moby does a cover of a Joy Division song. I think it's when A New Dawn Fades, and it's an instrumental. But then Moby does another song at the end of the film called "God Moving Over the Waters," I think, or
the end when Neil dies.
Yeah,
and Vincent's holding his hand.
Yeah, I think it's called "God Moving Over the Face of the Waters," I think. I probably watched that, but anyways, yeah, and he also had done some songs on Miami Vice as well. I think he did a remix of Patti LaBelle's "One of These Mornings." Yep. So definitely used in a lot of Michael Mann's films, but this is a really cool song to use.
Yeah, Moby got more clout in the year 2000 or 99, really, when when a lot of his songs. He had been an artist on the grind for years, but a lot of his songs, really, back when I was in high school, when they started being used in commercials, that's when his star started to rise.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of his songs are kind of like moody. They're very moody.
I like Porcelain. That's my favorite song that he's done.
Yeah, I think he did one on the Bourne.
The Bourne soundtrack?
Yeah.
Which Bourne movie?
The first Bourne movie he did.
Was it this? I think I know the song, though. I think they may have used it at the end of the Bourne Ultimatum, right when he starts swimming in the water again.
Oh, yeah. That I think it's that film.
Oh, that song was ill.
Yeah.
And they use it in the Jason Bourne as well.
Yeah. So he's definitely has made his mark on soundtracks.
Yes, he has. Like Kenny Loggins in the 80s.
Yeah. So then we go into the next song here by it's again a cover, a Sam Cooke cover. It's called "A Change to Come," and it's done by Al Green and Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah, featuring them. Yeah, it was a live cover that was on the soundtrack, and also featured in the film. The scene where Muhammad Ali learns that Malcolm X has just been assassinated.
Yeah,
and as the song's playing, it's interspersed with images of X's assassination and Muhammad's feeling very distraught because he had turned his back on Malcolm X months earlier because the Nation of Islam, they exiled Malcolm.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay just been given the Muslim name Muhammad Ali and told X that you shouldn't have quarreled with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
Basically doing what he was told, but if he hadn't done that, maybe he could still see his friend again.
And I do think that the lyrics of the song, this kind of can be construed as a commentary on that, right? Like, I go to the movie and I go downtown, somebody keep telling me don't hang around, a change gonna come. And I say, brother, help me please, but he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of interpret those as a commentary on Malcolm X, his death and how the Nation of Islam kind of stabbed him in the back.
They murdered him. I'm convinced they murdered him.
Yeah. So the song is called "A Change." A Change is Going to Come by Sam Cooke. He's kind of, I would say, he's considered the king of soul.
One of them, yeah. And also, check this out: Sam Cooke's original version of "A Change is Going to Come." It was actually used in the Spike Lee biopic Malcolm X that came out in 1992, and it was used 2 scenes prior. And the same day of X's assassination, it was used in the morning leading up to the events of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting parallel how Michael Mann used this song, probably, and considering his Spike Lee's feud with Michael Mann concerning who gets to direct Ali, maybe he did that as a nod to him or like a jab. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting how he included that, but
it fits with the time too. It was 1965.
It just fits perfectly. There's a lot of kind of racial turmoil, civil rights,
Vietnam.
Yeah. So then, we transition to the next song used here it's composed by Johnny Farmer called "Death Farmer." And this scene, we see this music and hear it in the scene where Boudini essentially is in a apartment or his house,
some like hotel or apartment in New York, and he's fell on hard times since Ali got suspended for refusing to go along with the draft in the Vietnam War. He got suspended from boxing, had his title stripped from him. Of course, so he can't pay none of his people since he ain't no money coming in.
Yeah, so Boudini's definitely hit some hard times. He's, he's a heroin addict, and he has sold one of Ali's belt.
But how the hell did he even have the belt in the first place if Ali got stripped of the title? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. It's like, how did he get a hold of those? I mean, I wouldn't think Ali would even let him have one of those, right?
Like, I wouldn't think so, unless it's just throwaways.
Yeah.
But people will buy him because they know Ali. He probably sweat on it and got his fingerprints on it or whatever.
Yeah, so he probably sold it for, the memorabilia for some money. And I think he does hint at that. He said I think in the movie he said he took the money and put it in his arm. So
yeah, I think he did hint at that. Yeah,
but I think it is very well placed, the music, and it's you can see the mood of the scene. Ali is just devastated because he feels like again his friend betrayed him.
Right.
And
I mean, as much as Ali came across as egotistical in the ring and whatnot, talked all the trash in the world, he did care for his friends and family a lot.
And then, this music is also used in the next scene where you see the Nation of Islam. They actually suspend him.
Suspend him from talking at the temple, suspend him from doing anything Muslim related.
So yeah, actually they end up kind of turning their back on him as well after his stance in the Vietnam War and him not being able to fight anymore. So yeah, you definitely get that vibe from the song too. It's pretty depressing.
It is.
Yeah.
Not just with Boondini, but for Ali, definitely.
Yeah. And then there's also another song that is on the soundtrack. It's by Aretha Franklin, and it's called "Ain't No Way for Me to Love You," and that's played when Ali ends up divorcing Sanji, yeah.
When he goes in the hotel room and what's it called? He's like, what I got to do? Have no contact with her, then issue a public statement of divorce and Islamic law be satisfied. And then Boudini Brown was like, hey, divorce a woman that took you to the moon? Am I the only normal person in here? I'm a black Jew. I'm half drunk and I can't read.
Yeah, no, you did that impersonation well. Yeah, I did notice in this film there are a couple of songs that Mann didn't put on the soundtrack.
Probably
the Moby one, the Moby song.
Probably couldn't get the rights to them.
Okay.
Because a lot of these songs on here, some of them are just made exclusively for the soundtrack. Some of them were used in the film, but for the most part in the film, they used songs that were indicative of the times.
Yeah.
Something you would have heard on the radio.
Yeah.
Or vinyl. And
then the next song we're going to talk about is probably one of the best songs that's on the soundtrack. It's by Salif Keita. It's called Tamara. And this song is played a couple of times. It's played at the end of towards the end of the film when Ali knocks out Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle.
The whole end of the film, yeah.
Yeah. Which is just an intense, like, slow-mo scene where Ali knocks Foreman out with an uppercut and then, like, a right hand.
Just right across. Catches him and Foreman just, like, twirls around and Ali's just looking at him like, what? And he collapses.
Yeah, and then you see that scene where, that shot where Ali's standing there looking down at him and you see the butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
That was tight.
Yeah. The cinematography again in this movie is just incredible.
And that scene right there, though, I mean, the music fit perfectly with the triumph of the scene with Ali regaining the heavyweight title that was stripped from him back 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, but I got to add a side note to this. In the movie, in the American Blu-ray copy of the movie, the commemorative edition, Michael Mann edited the ending of the film so that it doesn't give like the caption showing what happened later to Ali at the end, later in life. They just like commemorate his death, which happened in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just end it right there like that. But I'm like, the theatrical version y'all have was better. Ain't no reason to change it.
Yeah, he does that sometimes. He'll re-edit certain films and release them. Like
he does that with Heat. He did it with that.
He did it with Last of the Mohicans.
Yes, he did.
He did that.
I mean, he's not crazy like George Lucas, but still.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you just keep it the way it is?
Yeah. Ain't no need for you to change it, even if it does make it better in some way.
Yeah, I think he's just a perfectionist,
Yeah, he is.
Probably changes his mind later on how he edited something, but
probably. At least he didn't do did like Ridley Scott did for like the Blu-ray for a Blade Runner. Had like all 4 versions on the Blu-ray, which is fine.
Yeah,
in his case.
A great director, nonetheless, though.
No doubt.
And then we go to the next song here by Watchtower 4. I'm starting to think that this song is like the only song they ever did. Yeah, I'm starting to think that this is like the only song they ever did, because I didn't really find anything else on this band, Watchtower 4.
Me neither. I never heard of them until now myself. And they did like in Ali, what they did was like a cover version of All Along the Watchtower, which was originally done by Bob Dylan but made more famous by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
They did just an instrumental version of it. No vocals were included. And it was used
in the scene where Martin Luther King is shot.
Yeah, LeVar Burton, he played Martin Luther King briefly in the movie. Didn't have any speaking lines, but visually you know it was him.
Yeah, and the lawyer before
Chauncey Eskridge, played by Joe Morton. Yeah, before that he was talking to Ali on a motel telephone, the same motel that King was assassinated at.
Now, is that historically did that actually happen? Is it
where Chauncey Eskridge was there?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like looking at that. I was like, oh,
what are the odds?
What are the odds of that happening?
And is that the liberty that Michael Mann took?
Yeah, possibly. I'd have to look that up. But I think the song is fitting. It's pretty fitting because there's that first line in the song that says there must be some kind of way out of here. And it, I guess, I would imagine those would be like Ali's thoughts at this time, because he's in this predicament.
He's not rock bottom, but what's it called? He's descending rapidly in without boxing, his skills are deteriorating.
Yeah, he doesn't have any money. He's trying to get a fight, but he can't get a fight pretty much in any state because his license is in limbo, and then people are criticizing him for being unpatriotic and opposing the Vietnam War.
Yeah, they say he's unpatriotic, but he had a valid point with what he was saying. Like, what's it called? It's like, he said in the film, I ain't got no beef with them Viet Congs. Ain't no Viet Cong ever call me nigger. And like, what's it called? He said, you won't even stand up for my religious beliefs right here at home. You're my opposer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a controversial. He's a controversial person, I think, in that sense, where some Vietnam veterans probably have issue with him not fighting. But then again, you have to look at it in a different way, where he didn't. It's not like he ran to Canada or dodged the draft. He stood, like you said, he stood his ground in the U.S. and he fought for what he believed in. So I think there's something very respectable about that.
Yeah, there is something respectable about standing your ground. Yeah, especially considering the fact that when the war was over and the American soldiers were sent back here, they got greeted with nothing but like bile and hatred. They were spat upon. It's like, really? Seriously?
Yeah, I mean,
and they couldn't get jobs. A lot of them. Some of them still can't.
Yeah, it was a terrible thing, but definitely has a lot of, I think, would say a lot of courage for standing his ground, standing up for his beliefs.
I respect him for that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I jumped around here a little bit. I'm going to jump back to one of the songs here by Alicia Keys. And I believe it was in the scene, it's called Fight, and it's in the scene where Ali gets into the car and speaks with Joe Frazier.
Yeah, and a side note, Alicia Keys, she was a new artist at the time too. She was just coming off the heels of her debut album, Songs in A Minor. And she was the first artist, mind you, who appeared earlier in the year on MTV's You Hear It First, on their news portion with Kurt Loder. Yeah. I remember seeing that back when I was in high school, and I was like, okay, she's dope. I got to check her out.
Yeah, she's got a great voice.
Great voice, a great piano. She's good with her fingers on the piano.
Yeah, and this is a really cool song a cool song, and also a very cool scene because, Ali was very confident and would call people out, when he would do promo for fights. And I think he's done some of the best promo ever as a fighter.
And also, what's it called? The way he would rhyme words together as to taunt his opponent. He was a precursor. I think he gave a blueprint to pro wrestling and battle rapping as well.
Yeah. And he gets into the car with Frazier. He's trying to get a fight with him. Yeah. And it's kind of cool seeing the two titans kind of there in the same car, that close to each other, talking. And I would be expecting that, they'd be saying kind of bad things to each other, but it's kind of civil to an extent. I mean, you see that they both have, Frazier and Ali, kind of have a respect for each other.
And plus their camaraderie as in their fraternity of boxing, I suppose, if you can even call it a fraternity. And Ali did call him out, says, everybody know you ain't the real champ. Frazier doesn't take real offense to that, and there's still a competition going on with him. And despite all that, he does know that Ali's on hard times and he doesn't do this condescendingly or patronizing. He genuinely offers him some money, knowing his situation.
Yeah, which I thought was a kind thing to do.
And it's reflected in the Alicia Keys song "Fight" in the lyrics where she says, "I still got love for you, and I'm still gonna pray for you, and I still got hope for you, and I'm still gonna make my move."
Yeah. So
that embodies Frazier's mindset, I think, and Ali's mindset too, in getting back in the ring.
Yep. I believe the song is, you hear it, it's fading in from the radio. I think it's like playing in the car.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
It does fade in. And plus, Alicia Keys, she made it so that it has like a very 1970s feel to it, because that's when this was. The scene took place in 1970.
Yeah.
So it sounds like something that you would hear on the radio. Very vintage soul feel to it.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that Frazier was played by the boxer James Toney.
Yeah, you told me that earlier. Yeah, and I didn't even know that until you told me.
Yeah,
I was surprised.
They did, I think, a really cool job of doing, the makeup and kind of making him, look like Frazier,
making him like Frazier, making him buff and whatnot. And remember how they had the real Joe Frazier in the first Rocky movie too.
Yeah,
at the end, at the beginning of the fight between Apollo and Rocky. And by the way, the Rocky movies, in case some of y'all don't know, that was inspired by a Muhammad Ali fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What fight was that?
Ali versus, I forget his name. It's a boxer from Jersey City. I forget his name, though. I saw the movie for that boxer recently. Liev Schreiber played him.
Okay. So, the next song, R. Kelly, Hold On. This song, I guess, in an alternate version of the cut of the film is used. I think it's the Joe Quarry fight.
Yeah, it's using not in an alternate cut in both cuts of the film, the theatrical cut and whatever cut that Michael Mann had on the commemorative edition.
Okay.
Only difference is it was shortened to the last 30 seconds of the Quarry fight in the commemorative edition, but it kicks in more noticeably in the theatrical version.
Okay.
And sorry.
No, go ahead.
And like the Alicia Keys song "Fight," this song also has like a soulful 70s feel to it as well.
Was this released? Was this a song that R. Kelly had previously
done,
or this was done for the film?
I think it was done for the film. Yeah, I didn't hear it anywhere else before that.
Okay.
It may have been on his album TP2.com, which came out a year prior, but I don't know for certain.
Okay. And then we have the R. Kelly. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's it called? Yeah, the song "Hold On." Yeah, like we said, it was used in the fight against Jerry Quarry in 1970. And what's notable about that is that was Ali's first professional bout in like 3 or 4 years after he was suspended in 1966 or 67. And I think R. Kelly wrote the lyrics about Ali's determination to not to give up, not throw the towel in, even though that's exactly what Quarry did eventually during the fight. He gave up.
Which is kind of ironic, right?
It is ironic, yeah.
But another great one that Michael Mann included in the film, and then R. Kelly would go on to do another song for the soundtrack called "The World's Greatest,"
which was the lead single for the soundtrack. Yeah.
So this, I don't think it's actually in the film.
It's not used in the film. Nah, They used it to promote the film and had a music video for it. And this is right after, like a few months after 9/11 happened. So there was a lot of American flags, pro-Americana stances in the film as well too. And it almost reminds me of what's it called with the American boxing gloves, American flag boxing gloves. It reminds me of the beginning of Rocky IV.
Yeah, is that with Rocky IV was
when he fights Drago?
When he fights Drago.
Mm-hmm.
But the Is that the film where Apollo Creed he kills Apollo Creed?
Yeah, where Drago literally beats Creed to death.
Yeah. Wow, man. And this in the music video, I remember watching it, and you actually see kind of vintage footage spliced into the music video
of Ali.
Yeah.
Including at the end when he was giving one of his famous promos. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another artist that is included on the soundtrack, but I don't believe shows up on the film, is Everlast.
Yeah, Everlast. Yeah,
the greatest.
I think his song was like the only the only hip hop song that can be considered a hip hop song on the soundtrack. I mean, Everlast, he was combining like acoustic guitar with like rap lyrics at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was formerly, for those who don't know, Everlast, formerly from the group The House of Pain, famous for their 92, 93 single Jump Around, and later of the group La Coca Nostra.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where he's from. And the song, The Greatest, I think Everlast wrote it from the point of view of Ali's ego. And Ali was known for his trash talking. He talked all the shit in the world before and during the fight. But the way he carried himself in the ring, the way he beat his opponent, it's like, it's not trash talking, it's not arrogance if you can back up your gumption, which he could do in spades.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched the last part of the film where he's in Zaire and he walks into the training facility and Foreman's walking out and he goes up to the drums and starts hitting the drums and he's like, the champ is here, boom, 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 the champ is here, boom, boom, boom. Like, I was like, that is super intense.
That is super intense, yeah. And I think Will Smith made that saying more famous than Ali ever did.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of Will Smith's best roles that he's ever done.
It certainly is. I did like him for this role, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that he really embodied Ali, but he definitely did his hardest to make it that.
Yeah, I think he brought a lot of authenticity.
And he worked with the real Muhammad Ali for this as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ali was 60 at the time. And he could still do the speed bag as well too, which I thought was real cool. Even though, like, considering you got Parkinson's and considering you've been retired for a long time, you still got it, champ.
Yeah, it's just that's incredible. And
he got the Oscar nod for it too. Will Smith, the best actor Oscar nomination. Lost to Denzel though.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, right? Like going up against Denzel for Training Day.
Yeah, Training Day was like the first time Denzel played a bad guy, so they gave it a lot of attention.
Yeah, but still to get the nod for it, I mean,
that's
saying something.
It was his first nod, yeah.
Yeah, and his wife also appears in the film.
Jada Pinkett, yeah, she was Sanji, Muhammad Ali's first wife.
Yeah, so and then we see her in another Michael Mann film called Collateral. She's one of the main characters in
with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, with Jamie Foxx. Yep. So he likes to put include a lot of actors that have been in some of his previous films, kind of like Oliver Stone
or Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. So
like if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, this film is it's great. Definitely worth a watch. I mean,
it definitely is. Whether you're a boxing fan or not, if you're just a fan of historical facts and dramas, yeah, this is definitely for you. But if you can, catch a theatrical version.
Yeah, and I think it speaks miles to kind of the person that Muhammad Ali was. As a boxer, as an incredible athlete, and also his character. I mean, you see him stand up to the government, the U.S. government, and when he's deciding not to go to Vietnam, and I think that's one of the key scenes in the film, or key points in the film where you figure out Ali, he's there's a lot bit more. He's not just a boxer. There's a lot more to him.
Right. Yeah. Did I mention my dad? He met him once back when he was in high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. When Ali was like going around the country, the East Coast in the '60s, I think. I think this may have been when he was just Cassius Clay though, but still same person.
Yeah. Going back to one of the songs, I was just thinking about this now. Going back to one of the songs, "All Along the Watchtower." When that's played, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, I didn't realize this, but Jimi Hendrix, who did a version of that, he was under investigation by the FBI, and so was Martin Luther King.
I know King was, but I know Hendrix was.
Yeah, Hendrix was. I found that out when I read the book about him, Room Full of Mirrors, and which is another great book, a great book. But yeah, I thought that was kind of fascinating, how Mann included that track All on the Watchtower, and another,
probably a subtle nod.
To subtle nod.
Hendrix also being under FBI investigation.
And what was one thing I didn't really understand in the film was the CIA, were they involved in
the Rumble in the Jungle match?
Yeah,
because you see Bruce McGill's character. Yeah, he's CIA. And I see him more frequently in the commemorative edition, though. I didn't see him that much in the theatrical version. But it's like a shadowy government presence, I guess.
Yeah.
That man wanted to convey through the film.
And you see Ted Levine, who's a recurring character, or I'm sorry, a recurring actor that Michael Mann has used in Heat. And,
he was Officer Bosco, and most famous for playing Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, he's in the film. Has a small part where he's talking to one of the
Nation of Islam members.
Yeah,
saying what they want them to do about Malcolm X. But it's like it also parallels what Spike Lee was doing with the Malcolm X film as well too, because when Malcolm X broke off from the Nation of Islam, they had white CIA agents following him all the way to Mecca and whatnot. I remember them saying either here or in Malcolm X, listening to Malcolm X on the phone, they were like, compared to King, this guy's a monk.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't actually know. I mean, that the CIA was like, looking into the Rumble in the Jungle. I don't know if it's historically.
They probably would have been. I think the government, even back then, they're threatened by strong, prominent black figures.
And Cosell mentioned it when he was talking to Ali. He said that they're afraid of,
black militants.
Yeah.
And Ali countered. He was saying that I know H. Rap Brown or Stokely Carmichael. Both of them were the heads of the SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them were heads of that. But under H. Rap Brown, they went under for good.
Yeah. That's what another thing I really like about this film is the historical context, how Mann kind of brings it all together.
Yeah, me too. I like that as well too. It's like, I don't think you could tell a biopic like this without including the social mores of the time.
Yeah, and you see it in the beginning of the film, that opening montage where he includes, you see the bus and you see how the bus is divided by,
by color, yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the Emmett Till article when what's his name? Maestro, yeah. Maestro walks up to the guy that's reading the newspaper.
And he flashes in his face when he realizes the boy's looking, and then that stays in Ali's head forever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, man, this was great. Really appreciate you joining me again, and I think this is a great conversation, great film, and a great soundtrack. And I think we were talking about maybe doing Casino next. So
yes, Casino maybe next. Yeah, there's a lot of music going on in that film. Martin Scorsese film, and he has a talent for using old school music in all of his films. I think he really epitomized that with Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. The scene where Henry Hill's Last Day is a Wise Guy, all the songs that were used beautifully and perfectly in there. It's like, dude knows pop culture, dude knows music, and even modern music, like in The Departed, when he used the Thief's Theme by Nas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what I love too is he uses a lot of good classic rock, like the Rolling Stones.
He uses a lot of Stones, like he especially
Eric Clapton or Cream. I think it's Cream.
Sunshine
of Your Love.
Yeah, Derek and the Dominoes.
Yeah,
he uses "Gimme Shelter" by Rolling Stones in nearly all of his movies, I think.
Yep. But hey, man, well, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it, and we'll do it again.
No doubt.
This podcast is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Acast, Google Music, Stitcher. So if you don't mind, please leave a review and give me some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm also on Untapped. My username is Brewtuned. This is Andrew signing off. Cheers. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and follow RoadTunes Reviews on Blogger, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, thank you so much for your support.